And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. I'm here today, as always, with Mary Stowe, social media manager and host here at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Then we have John Frisha, managing editor at The Escapist and indie developer, creating a little game called Boss Saga, or Saga. Wait, how do you say it? Saga? Yeah.
I go with Saga, but they're both good.
Okay, cool. And then lastly, we have Greg Vargas, writer over at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, man, I'm doing swell.
Thank you for that gap. Sometimes I forget about it. I'm like, did he hear me? But then I remember, oh yeah, the gap.
Do you want me to continue to do it or not?
Yes, please do. Please continue. Actually, with that one, I might actually make it a little longer in the edit.
Keep on keeping on.
Okay, let's get into the news. We got some interesting things to talk about this week. But before that, if you're new to the place, if this is your first time hearing us over on podcast services, or if you're with us live right now on Twitch, please hit that subscribe button. Maybe leave us a little review, a thumbs up, anything that will help boost us in the algorithm would be really appreciated. Now, guys, let's get into the news. Then we're going to talk about what we're playing. But the first thing, actually, no, the first thing's not even news. First thing's Bayonetta 3. It's finally out. This game got announced the same year that the Switch came out, and it's finally here. Over 5 years later, Bayonetta 3, or as I like to call, Bayonetta 3, there's no way it's going to make money. Oh, wait. I meant to say Bayonetta, there's no way it's going to make... there's no way it's going to... I'm screwing it up.
You like to say it, but you don't
Bayonetta,
have to say it.
There's no way it makes money 3. That's what I meant to say. Okay.
Good job.
Sorry about that.
Are you sure that's possible, considering it's a $450 million franchise?
Exactly. I mean, it is known for being one of the biggest Nintendo franchises. No, I'm just kidding. And it's actually technically Sega, which is weird. Like, I always wonder how this works. It's Sega's IP, and their name is attached to it, but it's just straight up Nintendo's, basically. Like, they just own all the publishing rights to these games. They do all the marketing. Sega's like not even involved in any way. They're just like, yeah, you can have it. Here you go. Like, I wonder how much money they make off this franchise. If Nintendo's doing all the heavy lifting, you know?
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just
back to
doing
Bayonetta
random
3.
Google now. Yeah.
I really like the game so far. I have not beat it. It's been out for a little bit now, but I haven't gotten to play it nearly as much as I want to. I haven't got to game a whole lot because we're starting up this whole YouTube stuff over on Destructoid, so it's been taking up a lot of my time. Mm-hmm. But I'm really liking what I played. It's balls to the walls, insane. But before I get to what I think, Mary, how much have you played and what are you thinking?
I also haven't gotten to play as much as I wanted to. I was feeling a little under the weather this weekend, so I just kind of like took it easy. I'm past I completed chapter 1, which is basically the prologue and then a good portion of like the demo that I got to play. So I'm like, okay. So I got to play some new content though. I was laying on my couch though, and I was just thinking, like, as I was playing the prologue, I was like, this is the most chaotic intro I think I've ever played.
Yes,
in a video game. Like you said, like it just like hits 100 miles per hour and just doesn't stop. It's just you're going, you're huge, you're not, you're backflipping, you're shooting, you're kicking, you're just going.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The first hour. I gotta say, it almost sometimes doesn't even let you like breathe for a second. Like sometimes I don't want it to be as chaotic as it is. I'm like, man, this is just nonstop new mechanic after new mechanic, a huge set piece moment. I'm surprised by at least where I'm at. I'm sure it changes. I'm sure they're just introducing a bunch of stuff, but I'm surprised by how little of the gameplay is just the combat. Like you're just Bayonetta doing Bayonetta style combat, like where you're not playing as some type of spider or doing something nuts in a big action moment. But so far, those moments where I am just Bayonetta and I'm fighting like a really challenging boss, those are like my favorite moments so far. Like I love the set pieces and the spectacle that this game is.
Yeah.
But the moments where you can really feel how strong the mechanics are in this game is the moments that I think shine the brightest so far, at least for me.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying like, and it's kind of giving me like some astral chain-ish vibes where like I'm just enjoying like going into a combo, hitting a dodge, getting another combo. Like it's just like it feels very fluid, but it doesn't feel
Yeah.
easy, if that makes
No.
sense.
It does not feel easy. I would probably say it's slightly easier than Bayonetta 2 so far. I thought
Well, then
Bayonetta
I'm
2
not buying it. Forget it.
You're done. I actually
You're
thought Bayonetta 2 was the perfect challenge, but it was genuinely like challenging. Like I remember being on the edge of my seat during some of them bosses, like super into it. And this game, I've had a few of those moments, but not nearly as many so far. But I'm sure the challenge will ramp up as the game keeps introducing everything. There's a lot of stuff this game keeps introducing, and like sometimes it's like a one-off thing where it's like just for a boss fight, and then other times it's like something that's going to stick around, like the beasts, which we haven't gotten to yet, the demons that you have that you can utilize in combat, which is really awesome. Oh yeah, by the way, Greg, you said you bought this game. Have you played any of it?
Yeah, I'm probably not.
We're just
a
ignoring
little-
you.
Greg
No,
just
I'm not.
beaten it, and he's like leagues beyond
He's
all
like,
of
I'm
it.
done.
Is my mic? Am I still on? Is my mic still on?
Yeah.
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 Oh, it's not lighting up for me. But no, I'm like not as far as you guys. I'm probably just a little bit behind Mary. But it's weird. Like what's funny is like I like just got to a part where I did get that like astral chain feel. Like I was like, oh yeah, now I combat, beast, combat. And so I'm liking what I'm playing combat wise. Visually, I'm like, this is like, it's weird. It's like I'm playing Time Crisis or something, like in Time Crisis, like the arcade game. Like
It's really
it has this like off the wall, you're like jumping to an area and then everything stops and you're like right here fighting. And then it's like, all this action going on. And like visually, it just kind of reminds me of like an arcade game. Like I heard what you guys were saying about the cutscenes last week, and I was like, or the other day, and I was like, oh, I definitely want to get a feel for myself. And I'm like, wow, they were right. Like some of this looks
it's
terrible.
it's a game. It's really strange because sometimes the game looks really good. Like
Yeah.
everything about it will look good for like a solid like 2 minutes, and then you'll go somewhere where it's like finally one of them sections where you're not really doing anything. You're just sort of walking to the next area, maybe finding some collectibles along the way. And those environments are pretty rough. I noticed like really ugly textures, not a whole lot going on. Some look better than others, but then other times it's like it looks like an extremely expensive AAA game that was made in like 2009, like for Xbox 360. But that's not like necessarily a bad thing, because they like you can tell how much effort went into it, but they simply can't make it look any like much better considering the hardware constraints. But I feel like they're really doing everything they can with the Switch hardware to put so much stuff on screen at the same time, huge areas.
Yeah.
And I was actually impressed with, sorry, I keep going, but there's this time where you're walking forward and then like you go through like a teleporter, and it's almost like you're in one huge area, and then like 1 second later, the game loads an entire huge area right in front of you. I'm like, that's interesting. Like I've never even seen the Switch capable of that type of quick loading and like easy, like just like instant loading to like a next level. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like, are they like wizards or something? Because the game's pretty still. It's not like super ugly. So I'm really impressed that it's able to do this like Ratchet and Clank style PS5 super load, like insta load. So yeah, Greg.
Well,
sorry,
I think
what
like
were you
in
gonna
a lot of areas though, I think I think you can start to like once you look for them, you'll start to notice like where they did cut corners, or like where they did, where it's not some elaborate visual. Like I just took a screen recording a little bit ago of this like explosion that happened like after, I think it's after you fight the Kraken and some stuff, and but the explosion and the fire were blurry, and the clouds, it was like so pixelated. But I'm like, I was in my head, I'm like, obviously, that was probably something eating up a lot of, frames, or, memory usage, or something that caused the game to bog down. And so to get around that, they have this like blurry texture. But I also noticed like a lot of like the different like things that have a lot of elements, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know,
Thingamajigs.
if thingamajigs, if they're more
That's-
elaborate, like I see it like kind of like interlaced. You can see the actual like grain
checkerboard.
on this, on the screen. I'm just like,
Yeah, I noticed
okay,
that.
and then like what's weird is like I'll give it a pass for certain reasons, because a lot of times, like you said, in the combat, like there's little things that make Bayonetta like so stylized. She has such style like throughout the games, but like little butterflies popping off from her heels, or a glowing piece of her suit, or how some of the like arms, like the animations are super fluid, even though like there's a whole bunch of shit going on screen. And so I start to notice those
Indestructible
things.
environments.
Yeah, and so I'm not like exactly giving it a pass. I'm just saying like mostly I notice these things that probably areas where they cut corners. But also, I mean, I haven't really progressed far in the game, but I'm anxious to see what you're talking about, especially in like like Tomb Raider or Uncharted or like Ratchet and Clank, like how they hide those areas, or even like Jedi Fallen Order, like they hide loads between areas where like where you're like, oh, you have to crawl through this wall. Well, that's where like the developers oftentimes hide like load screens, is like during those sections. So I'm interested to see if there's anything like that I can pick out that says like, oh, this is where they decided to Platinum hid this loading area here or something.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll notice it when you get to them spots I'm thinking about, like where you walk up to like a dome area, and then like the game is loading something, but then like all of a sudden like a flash before your eyes, and you're in a brand new huge open section. I actually recorded a clip. I should have sent it to you guys beforehand because it's really impressive, and I'm kind of curious what happens whenever you start to enter that area, and then you just decide to turn around and run back into the level. If like the game will like slow down super, it's like, wait, what the fuck? You thought you were going to the next spot?
Where are you going?
Yeah, I kind of want to break it and see what happens the next time that starts happening.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but honestly, the character models and stuff, like you guys are saying the characters look kind of rough. I think that Bayonetta, in terms of her textures and facial animations and stuff, I think they look a lot better than Bayonetta 2 by comparison. But I mean, like by modern 2022 standards, no, they still look like a PS3 game, like a good looking PS3 game,
Not one of those crappy ones.
Yeah. I think like Bayonetta herself is like they put the most effort into her. Obviously, like she's the main protagonist.
They
look
did
at her the most.
She's jeans, man.
But like,
wow,
you get like other characters just don't look like they had as much effort put into them, and like going back to like the cut scenes, I'm like, could they have not like pre-rendered this? Is this pre-rendered and this is what they ended up with? Like, it just looks really rough when you're having to watch an extended cutscene, because there is like a pretty good length one like in the beginning. Like I actually put my controller down for a second because I was just like, I'm just in a cutscene, I'm just watching, I'm just enjoying what's happening. But I was also just kind of like, oh, this texture is just a little, I don't know, the face animations are just a little blocky, like, but then whenever I'm actually playing the game, I'm not paying attention to that, and I'm like, why am I not caring as much about like the graphics when I'm playing versus when I'm just having to sit? It's probably because I'm enjoying the gameplay so much.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, oh, sorry, John,
I was just gonna say that I watched the Digital Foundry video for Bayonetta 3, and I think they said like random pieces of this game, I don't know if it's a lot, but just pieces like actually are pre-rendered, and it seamlessly switches back between like actual gameplay. And,
there's both,
so
for sure.
Which might be even worse to learn that you actually are seeing pre-rendered sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also one thing to note, and I'm sure this has a lot to do with like the blurry textures, the like outdated looking stuff, and is that the game aims for 60 frames. It doesn't always hit 60 frames, but it is
Apparently
aiming
it
for
almost
60.
Never hits 60 frames, according to
I
Digital
know.
Foundry.
I'm just saying it's trying to hit 60 frames. So that I'm sure that does a lot on the hardware as well. They probably didn't want to lock it at 30 because it is an action game that's like super like Twitch based. Like you're gonna be
But like,
going.
just give us 48 or something though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, give us something above 30, which I do agree. I've seen it hit somewhere around 60, and then it just drops right back down.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you're in like a super narrow hallway or something where it'll be like, yeah, 60 frames per second. Look at that.
Yeah.
And then when you're fighting
No
them
camera
super
movement
massive.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
When
you
you're
spin the
completely
camera,
standing still.
you're gonna hit a brisk 25 if you spin that camera. But
And
yeah,
Enzo
I mean,
looks like garbage, man.
Yeah.
Enzo,
Yeah.
Looks like a blocky mess.
Mhm.
yeah.
A little bit.
The game, I gotta just shout out though, the game is so profoundly weird that it even seems weirder than the last two. Like it has hit Suda 51 weird. Like it's gotten to that point.
I like that
and,
though.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. Like I get Suda 51 vibes from this one more than the others. And not that the others weren't crazy. They were definitely crazy, but like this one just like ups the ante like an insane amount. And then using the beasts is actually really fun as well. The demons, whatever they're called.
Mhm.
And it's kind of funny because they did Astral Chain where you're fighting two things. I mean, you're fighting one thing, but with two different characters. And then this is kind of similar, except Bayonetta can't do anything whenever her demon is fighting. But one thing I think is cool is like, let's say you summoned a beast or demon or whatever, and it's in the middle of its actual like attack. Like let's say it grabs something with its mouth. If you're to dodge out, like if something else is about to hit you, if you're to dodge out of that, your demon will still finish off the animation and like continue to fight, even though you're fighting as well, which I think is really
it completely
cool.
Went away.
No, it'll
Maybe it was
stick
just at the end
around
of
for a
its whole power.
second.
But isn't that odd though? Like when you compare the two, when you look at Astral Chain and Bayonetta 3, like they almost like they have a lot of similarities, like you're saying. But I feel like the action and the visuals in Astral Chain are pulled off in like a much smoother, sleeker way. And it's like
much smaller in scale in terms of the environments, the boss sizes. Like there's one boss that takes place. I should say. Yeah, but there is one boss in Astral Chain, the boss that like runs on the buildings in a circle. That's when like the frame rate tanks the most in that game. So that sort of gives you an idea as to why Bayonetta's frame rate is all over the place, because they're on the same hardware, doing the same style of like two-person fighting, which I think is kind of funny. Like Platinum has this fascination with let's control two things and fight, because Scalebound was the same thing. You controlled the dragon, like you demanded it around, and you also fought on the battlefield.
Even like
and
Wonderful
then
101.
Was that two people fighting at the same time?
Well, you had like your characters, and then you were doing like the shapes, and you were still like, I think you were managing two systems at once.
I've only played the first one, and it was like when I was a kid, so I don't even remember Beautiful 101.
What?
Unfortunately. I don't remember how it plays. I know what it is. I just don't remember the combat.
Wonderful 101? The Wii U game?
Oh, Wonderful 101. I'm thinking Beautiful Joe. My bad.
I remember Beautiful Joe.
Okay, that's quite a difference.
Yeah. Well, they have a similar art style. A similar looking like main protagonist guy, right?
Maybe.
No.
They don't?
We'll say sure.
Let's take a gander.
There's the color red.
The main protagonist guy is a guy in like a superhero suit. It looks like Beautiful Joe. Are you kidding me?
No, he does not.
Yeah, no, yeah. They have the same visor thing, kind of.
Yeah, and they look very similar. I'm not crazy. You guys are you're making me feel crazy. But yeah. Anyway,
I just want to make one point though. I don't want to overspeak on this, but like, it's funny just like compared, because I watched your Call of Duty overview video for the campaign, and just look like, like this game gets a pass, but it's like batshit crazy. It's got like all this like crazy weird stuff happening, and tries not to be super realistic and comes off as fun. Whereas in comparison, you have Modern Warfare 2 that just has like, tries to be super realistic and almost to the point where it just becomes unfun, and like even to the point where there's no music in those sequences, which is like early on for the campaign, I had read some of that and heard some of that, and it completely took me away from buying it. And maybe I will buy the multiplayer down the road, but just in comparison of the two games, like I'm having a lot more fun, getting to experience, I guess, Bayonetta than like thinking I'm gonna have fun playing something like Modern Warfare 2 at this time.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2, I could talk about that for a while, but I'll save that for some other. Actually, probably never. We're probably never going to talk about that on this YouTube. I mean, on this podcast. But if you want to know my thoughts on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, my review went up today on the Destructoid YouTube channel, which that review's not doing well views wise at all. So please go watch it. It's very late, but I don't know. I thought maybe the title would like entice people to click on it, but obviously I was wrong. I might do a Bayonetta one if I finish it in the next few days. But anyway, yeah, Bayonetta 3, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I can't wait to keep on playing it, and I assume it's going to keep on introducing crazy things. And I don't know anything about the story, but I keep hearing people say like, I love the game, but I hated the end. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, it's Bayonetta. Like, even if the story's ending was terrible, like I feel like it would not affect my thoughts on the game at all.
I couldn't care less about what the story is.
I couldn't care less what other people think about it, because like everyone hated The Last of Us Part 2 ending and whatever. Like I avoid spoilers. I got to the end of that and I was like, I don't see what y'all are complaining about. Like,
no, you see, Mary, that was terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
That's where your opinion is wrong.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite ending of all time, but like the way that the internet blows things up, you would think it was just like god awful, and I was like, it's not as bad as people are saying it is. The
thing about The Last of Us 2 is like the story. It's like, it's not so much I'm like that was terrible. It's more so much I'm just like, why did that story happen? Why does this exist? I just feel like it's so pointless and doesn't add on to the original in any meaningful way. Anyway, we're not going down this rabbit hole of The Last of Us. Let's get down to
let's talk about
business.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh my god, the story was the most intriguing part.
Metroid Other M. There, it's a Nintendo game.
Metroid Other M, I feel like it gets too much shit. I think it's perfectly fine.
I liked it. Yeah, it was fine.
I liked it.
Exactly. It's a good game.
All right. Well, this is going to be the Metroid Other M spoiler cast. I couldn't even tell you what that story is about either. It was insane.
Yep.
But I did like how they tried to make Samus like a person. But that said, I do like her more like stoic, like quiet self in Dread, where like she has one line the whole game and it's like freaking amazing. I actually like that spot a lot. The music and stuff was really well done there. Like, I think it's not appreciated enough how certain games are edited and shot when it comes to the storytelling, like the music, the dialogue, all that stuff. And I feel like there are certain elements of some games that I always think about, like that was amazingly done. And that's one of them. That section where she talks, and the end when she screams. That was also really cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think about too, like how probably just because they weren't able to do it in other games, but they're able to put so much of her personality into like her body language and that little bit of her facial expression. And I'm like, I know what she's thinking just by her body language.
Also, the entire game, her body language was straight up, I'm a badass and you suck. That's what her body language was.
I love it so much. She's so cool. I want to be her when I grow up. Like I've never felt more inspired by a character that didn't talk than I did whenever I was playing Dread. Like, she was so cool in that game, and she doesn't even say a word almost the entire game. And I'm just like, man, I feel a connection to Samus for the first time ever in this game, and she doesn't even talk. It's amazing. But yeah, Metroid Dread, what a game. That was amazing. Now, let's get down to business, guys. There's a lot to go over. We got I guess we're done with Bayonetta for now, right? We spent some time on it. Anyway, I did want to shout out, though, one more thing. The voice acting made me realize, because I didn't know if maybe I was being too hard on Gotham Knights and the voice acting. And then I played Bayonetta, a game that has a way crazier story and writing in general, but the acting is good.
Like, it's good acting. So even though it's off the wall, batshit insane, I'm like, this is good voice acting. It doesn't sound weird in any way. It sounds like it's perfectly executed. Whereas Gotham Knights, I sent Brett this clip. She's literally walking into a room with a bunch of people who are dead. Not falling on the dead people like I talked about last week, but this time she's walking into a room with a bunch of dead people. Yeah, and she just says, "A massacre." And I'm just like, what were they thinking?
I'm like, what is TikTok sound?
It's like they didn't know what to push on the soundboard. And oh, shit. A massacre.
I just did not like. It's like, okay, you're walking into a room, you see a bunch of dead people. Go ahead and give us your line. She's like, a massacre, and then they're like, perfect. That's the one. That's the one, and they kept it for the whole game. Nice. I just didn't understand it. So yeah, Bayonetta actually has good voice acting, even if it's insane. And shout out to Jennifer Hale. Obviously, I hate recasts, but this is something I rant about all the time. All right, let me just go on a little tangent. Okay. The voice actor that took over for Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 7 said that he didn't watch any of the previous footage because he wanted the character to be his own take. And that doesn't make sense to me because it's not like it's a whole different universe and you're just like becoming a brand new Chris Redfield. It's the same. It's the same universe. Like that Chris is terrible because it's not even Chris. It's just a totally different guy because he didn't even watch the other games. You can tell that Jennifer Hale looked like she probably studied Bayonetta's previous voice like for hours, and she captures it so well. You can barely even tell the difference. The only time I truly tell the difference is in the grunts. They sound different than the previous Bayonetta.
The grunts were done by Kamiya. That was him.
Exactly. him pressing the block button.
Nice. There we go.
Me and Mary were on the same page with that one. All right. So yeah, I just had to shout out the voice acting, and not just Jennifer Hale's good, but even the new characters I thought were really done, really well done. Guys, Liam Hemsworth is taking over for Henry Cavill in The Witcher season 4.
Mistake.
What the hell is happening?
So weird.
Speaking of recasts,
so have they said why Henry Cavill's not doing season 4? Is there like an official reason?
It's obvious, but no, but it's obvious.
No, it has not been officially said.
So there are tons of quotes from Henry Cavill saying that, I definitely want to do the 7-year like plan for The Witcher, like without a doubt. Under one circumstance, they stay true to the vision of the books and the writing of the actual Witcher and all of that, and then a bunch of these reports come out that the producers, the writers,
I think it was like
don't
one
even
guy, but
probably a bunch of sites reported on one guy saying that that the producers and writers didn't even like the books. They don't play the games. They don't care about that. It's basically just like a paycheck to them, in other words. And when you're a writer and you work for a company like Netflix, that probably happens all the time. Like you're put on a project that you probably don't care about. But obviously Henry Cavill just wasn't cool with that because they were writing characters wrong. There's a bunch of stuff during the production of season 1 and 2 where like he was like, I had to convince them to let me do this and let me do that, and but it's pretty obvious that they're gonna go somewhere crazy with the story, and Henry Cavill is just not on board with it. Like he doesn't want to do it because he loves the games and the books. He has completed the whole trilogy multiple times and read through all the books like probably plenty of times, and he's really passionate about it. The only reason why I can think he would leave this character is if he doesn't believe in the vision that they're forcing on him, and he's like, I don't have to renew my contract. I'm done. See ya.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm placing bets then. It's either gonna get canceled after season 3 or it's gonna get canceled after season 4. It's either gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. Like I
think season 4 is already confirmed, and like that's why they mentioned.
Yeah, I think they did confirm it.
It might
be hilarious though if they were like, never mind. Realize Liam sucks. So it would quits.
I feel like the backlash has been that bad where they really should maybe reconsider and listening to Henry Cavill's opinion on all this and being like, okay, let's work this out. you're in the writer's room. You oversee the project, and you're going to continue to be Geralt. That makes sense to me. Like, he's more knowledgeable. It seems like he's more knowledgeable than anyone who's involved, which is kind of sad, given he's the actor. He's not the writer or the producer or anything.
Well, I was gonna say that like most of the hate I see isn't even like at Liam Hemsworth. People are just like, he's cool. Like we don't have a problem with him. It's like, what are y'all doing to make Henry Cavill leave? Like that's where people are like, y'all are messing this up if your main dude who loves this franchise is leaving the series.
Yeah, I think he's like, he fills that special portion or that special role of like, like everybody can see that he's authentic. They can see that he loves games. He loves the lore, loves PC building and, lives for that. And I think that's like partially like you could have the best of both worlds, right? You have this guy that's passionate about the source material, but also the show was a massive hit. And then Netflix is over here like, oh, people are leaving because we're losing subscriptions because they're sharing passwords. And they do like an idiot move like this. It's like, I don't understand. Like, this is why you guys suck and why, like you're just like, flinging shit at this like entire fan base that loves where the series came from.
Yeah, and they've canceled like how many other like beloved series like that fans are like, why'd you cancel this? We want more of it. And they're like, no, we're gonna go keep working on this one instead. People are like, why? We don't like that one. Like they're really out of touch with their fan base. Like a lot of corporations tend to be.
It's been like reported on before that like, so obviously Netflix has like this nebulous algorithm that's changing constantly and you can't really predict it because it's this unnatural monster that just sort of does its own thing. And I guess like the theory goes something like a show is probably going to get most of the viewers it's ever going to have by like season 3. And after that, you're kind of looking at a decline and also even if the show's successful, now you're paying your actors more because they know they're worth something. So like, I guess the theory goes that Netflix finds it a better value to just cancel things and try to make something new than it is to just keep sustaining something.
That's just sad.
Yeah. I
Look
mean,
at Supernatural with like 14 seasons.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously there's exceptions because I mean, Stranger Things like basically like built the whole thing. I mean, there's House of Cards before that, but the only one we're still talking about right now is Stranger Things. So that's fine. Cobra Kai is probably going to get one more season. And The Witcher is supposed to be another one of these pillars. And like pulling the Liam's Hemsworth card that's a thing, man.
Has this ever happened in a show that it wasn't like a part of the story, like Doctor Who and like Altered Carbon, like where they're actually supposed to be different actors? Altered Carbon season 1 was good.
Season 1 was good.
Season 1 was good. Yeah.
Season 2, I only watched one episode.
So weird, man. Still.
Well,
I'm just saying, has this happened? Like in general, a main protagonist, the main character. Then the name of the show is The Witcher. They're changing the actors.
Okay,
they're changing the actor of The Witcher.
I'm almost positive there's a. Oh, okay, I know what I was thinking of. Well, first of all, I will go far back in time to an example none of you are thinking of. The show Bewitched. In Bewitched, the main character Sam the Witch and her husband was Dick. Not Dick Clark. Dick Van
Dyke
Cheney.
No, but it was a guy named Dick. Anyway, I forget. He had, I don't know, was it back problems or something? Like, again, fact check me as usual. But bottom line, the guy loved the show, but he had to leave the show, and they just replaced him with another guy named Dick who looked a lot like him, and it was one of the most amazing switches that TV's ever done. Because a guy named Dick who looked almost the same as the other Dick. It was.
I mean, you know what they say? All dicks look alike.
I don't remember hearing that. That's not one I'm familiar with.
Generally, Tyler says in Twitch chat, Dick York to Dick Sargent. Is that who you said?
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I knew Dick Sargent was the second, and I did think the first was Dick York, but I didn't want to get it wrong and sounds stupider. So yeah, that's it. Thank
especially
you.
since his name is Dick, so it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that name, but and in
It's my
more
neighbor's
modern
name. He's a nice
times,
guy.
yeah, there you go. In more modern times, this definitely isn't the same thing, but similar principle. 2.5 Men, when they killed off Charlie Sheen's character and replaced it with
Oh, yeah.
Ashton
But hey,
Kutcher.
that's a different character though.
Right.
So that-
Like I said, it is
Yeah.
different, but similar principle. Like that was the main character, and they're like, "Here's Ashton Kutcher."
Yeah.
I mean, like,
So random.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of a few shows where like a main character leaves, another one comes in. It's like, but the main character, like it would be like if Bewitched was a different girl, like
yeah,
she's the real main character of that show. I mean,
Right.
basically,
Yeah.
which I could
It's like
picture
this-
happening in a sitcom, but like this super popular Netflix original that's like beloved because of Henry Cavill's performance, like specifically. That's what most people like about the show is him. So when you take him
Mhm.
away, I just think it's just like, what's the point? You know, it's kind of like The Last of Us 2. Why?
right. Man, and also, man, the Liam Hemsworth though, as the guy to replace him, that to me, that's the bigger sticking point. Actually, like for as much as I love Henry Cavill on the show, like Liam Hemsworth, I think
I
I
wonder
looked it
if
up.
he's
I think he was born in like 1990, so he's like a year younger than me even, and like I shouldn't be playing the guy. I
is
You
he-
could do it.
How much younger is he compared to Henry Cavill?
You
I think
squint
Henry
a little
Cavill's
bit, John.
late
You kind of look
30s.
like Henry
He's
Cavill.
39. Liam,
Henry Cavill is.
yeah, Henry
Yeah,
Cavill's
and-
39.
he's 32. So yeah, it's a pretty decent difference. I'm sure they could
Yeah.
age him up a bit.
He just looks
Yes.
scrawny in comparison, I guess.
What I would love,
Yeah.
You'll have to
honestly,
pump some iron.
I mean, yeah, he is smaller, but he's technically, I think he's like 4 inches taller, which is interesting.
Oh,
Because if you would have told me that, like I had to look that up because I thought for sure Liam Hemsworth was like a foot shorter
Oh.
than Henry Cavill, just because
Well-
Henry Cavill is just so. He looks massive anytime you see him in anything,
Li-
and then
Liam
Liam,
Hemsworth comes off as like a B actor to me.
He probably is.
kind of is, yeah.
Liam Hemsworth, according to Google Heights, is 2 inches taller than.
Oh, I thought it was
Cavill.
4.
It claims 6'3" to 6'1", but again, I have no idea where Google took this info from. For all I know,
Yeah.
they're both like little people.
Little people, they're huge, both of them. But
They're both like 5'7".
yeah, in real
Nothing wrong
life
with
they're just
Oh my
like
God.
no, they're 5'4", like me.
Okay.
Still taller than Joe Rogan.
Yeah, still taller than I don't know who else he gets made fun of for being short. I can't remember. Anyway,
Cruise.
Tom Cruise, that's a good one.
But he is really short, isn't he?
No,
Yeah,
I think he's actually another 5'7" guy
yeah. I mean that's short in terms of Hollywood height.
for Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say it's my height, but I'm tall for a girl. So
Mhm.
You're 5'7"?
I'm 5'7" as well.
Greg, are you 5'7"?
I'm 5'7" as well.
Jesus,
Are you really?
Yeah, we're all made the
all the
same in the
same.
simulation.
yeah.
You guys like would be perfect for like I don't even know
You know?
idea kissing.
What the fuck?
Okay then.
You say
Okay.
caroling?
Well,
I said
well,
Daryl.
Carol.
We'll discuss that with Greg's new wife and Mary's husband.
Yeah. I'm gonna put high heels on. I'm gonna be too tall. Greg and John, y'all. It's up to you.
Yeah,
Hey,
Mario
again, if you
videotape.
squint a little bit, John, you look like Henry Cavill.
Just gotta squint and do 16 shots. Anyway, I'm
okay,
only 5'4", so I'm not doing anything with you weirdos. You freakishly tall weirdos. You're disgusting, all three of you 5'7" son of a bitches.
How tall is other Brett?
I think he's like 6'1".
okay.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe
Alright.
he's 5'11" or something. I can't remember.
All right,
You
well,
can't
maybe
be
he
part of
needs
the
to play The
5'7"
Witcher.
crew.
freakishly
definitely
tall,
taller.
like 7'4".
He should have been a model probably because he looks basically like a Tommy Hilfiger model is what he looks like. All right,
If only you
guys.
could be that nice to him when he's actually here.
Yeah,
Fuck that guy.
Never. I would never. Let's talk about Phil Spencer saying that he would love to see Call of Duty come to Nintendo Switch. And this is something he had said in the past as well, like at the very beginning of the Activision Blizzard acquisition talks. But I just wanted to point it out that he continues to say that. And I honestly think it's something that should definitely be happening. Like, I can't believe that not even Call of Duty Mobile is on Switch. Like, I feel like that would be a shoo-in. Obviously, the newer games would have a tough time running on the device, but I feel like Call of Duty Mobile, like, the game already has controller support. Like, you literally just have to port it, and the Switch is basically, like, the tech is very similar to, like, a powerful phone. So it's like, make it happen, guys. Like, what are you doing? Like, they could have, and they could port older games, like a collection, like the original Modern Warfare trilogy or something to Switch. Like, I'm just so surprised that there's not one single Call of Duty game on the most popular device on the planet right now.
Well,
It's like-
Aren't there?
it's the
I was
same
gonna say, like,
phenomenon as The Sims. Like, I can't believe The Sims, the most like everyman game in the universe, is not on Switch.
Yep.
yeah,
But
I was gonna say, like, does that have to do with like the online connectivity? Because like, you
That
know,
would be my guess.
Nintendo's servers are like Windows 95 potatoes or something.
But
So like,
well,
is that an issue?
it's
like,
not
there wouldn't-
Nintendo's servers for that game. It would be their servers,
Yeah.
right? Like,
right.
So-
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Good point.
Well, in that same vein though, I think a big part of it is that like the competitive scene is on PlayStation and Xbox. Like, nobody in the competitive scene is going to be like, you know what? I think Switch is my platform from now on.
Yeah.
Like, nobody who's like actually competitive is going to do that. So by default, any Call of Duty game on Switch would be like the casual experience of multiplayer as far as like Call of Duty goes. So
But, I
I would
mean,
imagine.
you see, like, Overwatch 2 came to Switch, surprisingly.
Yeah,
I'm
what's up with that?
surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that is on Switch, and it's on Switch,
think-
right? Am I crazy?
No,
I think the
it was
first
announced
one
as
did,
Switches
didn't it?
all along. No, it's
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
Overwatch 2 is also Switch.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
I
I
didn't know
thought.
that. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
But yeah, so
Nobody
I'm
is.
surprised that like they don't try and get that casual audience, like the 8-year-old who only has a Switch. Like, he wants to
wants
play
to
Call
murder
of
people.
Duty. Yeah,
Where, oh, did Mary disappear?
Mary's gone.
Hold on. I don't know. Zoom like tried to quit, but then it didn't. So continue. I'll figure this
You're
out.
just a big letter M now.
She's here in spirit.
It stands for merciful, right?
There we go.
Absolutely.
All right.
There we
Anyway,
go.
as we were saying,
Why isn't this game on Switch? Like, this series, like, it just seems just like The Sims. Like, what are you guys doing? This reminds me of Atlas not putting their games. Like, why wasn't Persona on Switch years ago? What are you doing? Like,
Right.
I just don't understand it. Like, there's no way that it's even remotely expensive compared to the payoff you're going to get putting even just Persona 4 on Switch. Like, they could have done that 5 years ago and it would have paid off, but especially by now. I don't know.
Well, it's funny too, because like Alice was always like, hey, fans, would y'all be remotely interested in these games on other consoles? And the fans were like, yes, 1,000
Screaming,
times.
yes,
Like,
please.
please, we've been begging you for years. And Atlas was finally like, maybe we should ask the fans. Like, I feel like Call of Duty is the same. It's like, do the fans really want this? The fans are screaming for it, meanwhile, for years and years. And eventually they'll be like, we had this great idea. And
Yeah. Right.
eventually
Which is like-
release it.
Which is like so weird because like now you can get, feedback, like player feedback from so many places, mass market emails. You can send out, something on Twitter. You can do a Facebook poll. It's like you don't need to do these elaborate, market surveys of whether or not these like, previous, like especially if it's I think a cult classic or like, something like Persona, but it's still weird that like like how could they not bring something Call of Duty to the Switch? Is like I just find that so odd, especially after going all in on the
Wii
previous
U
generations.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Wii U, the Wii,
and the
Yeah, I
Wii
was gonna say
especially.
that.
Yeah. For the
even if it looks
Wii,
like
they freaking
butt-
created janky ass N64 looking Call of Duty games. They were willing to do it on that
it was
platform, but
even
then
on the DS as well too.
yeah, its own version on DS. That's way more work than just porting Call of Duty Mobile to Switch. Like, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the updates or like phones advancing, so the Switch hardware is going to stay the same for years while phones keep getting more powerful. I don't know. But there's like sliders for all that stuff. Just keep the Switch on the low settings and call it a day.
There
yeah.
you go.
I just
So-
it doesn't make sense to me.
So your big message is phone it in.
Yeah.
Just put
Give it the
something
panic
there.
button.
What? So they
Panic
can give it
button,
the
yeah.
Apex Legends treatment.
Oh God, did they do that one?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, while I'm here, just take that game off of Switch. Like, just delete
Yes.
it. Because it is so bad that maybe that is some indication as to why some of these games aren't on Switch. But I don't know. That game's just
Yeah, I don't
incredibly
know.
blurry. Let's talk about EA announced a long-term Marvel deal
Mhm.
with Electronic Arts. I mean, with Marvel. And there's going to be 3 titles, right, John? 3 coming to
Coming in.
consoles
Yeah,
and PC.
at least 3. At least 3.
This is interesting. It's obviously not an exclusive deal, like I'm sure they regretted with Star Wars for like 5 or more years. And all they put out that was significant was Jedi Fallen Order. And surprisingly,
Squadrons.
Oh yeah, Squadrons. But have you guys? I mean, Battlefield 1 and 2, they were good by the end. They just had really bad, like
Battlefront.
controversial stuff. Yeah, Battlefront. Yeah. So anyway, yeah,
I
this
think
is
2 suffered
Marvel
because of loot
games.
boxes.
Yeah, it was all that controversy.
Yeah.
But and the campaign was not very good. It was okay, but Mitch Dyer wrote it, so it really wasn't that great. We the second week in a row just to crap on Mitch. And I'm just kidding
Son
if
of
for
a
anyone
Mitch.
who's wondering. Son of a Mitch.
Gradually,
Anyway,
this podcast will just be about dunking on our enemies.
Yeah.
People that like don't even know we
Welcome-
exist, but we're just trashing them so hard. Alright.
Welcome back to Dunking on Dyer. This week we dunk on Dyer.
On Dyer.
Have you
Dunking
seen
on
his
Dyer.
tie? The color is all wrong.
What a bozo.
A bozo. What a good bozo.
Yeah.
He's probably 5'5". Oh, I'm sorry.
Probably 5'7", just like you guys.
Gross.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being 5'5" or shorter.
Yeah.
Good old kissing height, I guess. 5'7". Come here, Mitch.
Perfect.
This is a weird show tonight.
Yeah, it is. I never thought that we would need Brett to ground us to keep us
Yeah, right.
normal, but I also think I forgot to shout out Eric on the 1s and 2s at the top of the show. So thank you,
dare
Eric,
you.
for Eric is our man behind the camera who's always here with every single episode, listening to us act like idiots.
And Eric said he's 6 foot, so he's out of kissing range.
Eric is 6 foot.
That's what he claims.
What? I always imagined like 5'7", not 6 foot.
Like the rest of us.
That's crazy. Like I did not know he was that tall. All right.
Likewise.
Oh, so yeah, they haven't announced what these games are, but we're getting a ton of
Well, yeah, they
Marvel
did.
games.
Well, they,
Oh yeah,
they
the Iron
announced
Man one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Iron
My
Man
bad.
one, right?
yeah,
Yep.
and
Single
like,
player.
That's right.
Yeah, and Jeff Grubb says the second one is Black Panther.
Interesting, because there's already a Black Panther featured game coming from
right.
Amy
Starring
Hennig's
with
team.
Captain America. Yeah, it's the two
Yeah.
of them in World War
Yeah.
II. So,
and on
the
top
report-
of that, they
Oh,
just
go
had
ahead.
the Black Panther expansion and the Avengers. I'm just saying.
well, we all remember that because we all played that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely didn't play 30 minutes and stop.
Definitely
I wonder if
never
this is-
touched it.
I wonder if this will be like how like the MCU was like eventually formed. Like you had all these studios that made like shitty movies that, I mean, some of them are okay, but then finally, you know, they put the hands, or they put the ball in Disney's court and ended up swooping up Marvel, and then, you know, thus the MCU was birthed. But I wonder if like there's going to be one studio that, like, instead of, you know, this one by EA, this one by, you know, under Square Enix, if someone's actually going to make, you know, maybe
Square
EA is
Square
it.
Onyx. Yeah.
That's what I heard. I'm like, what? Square Onyx. Like the
But
Pokemon.
I just don't think, like, you know, like where is, you know, this, like, is EA going to be the one to do it? Like, are they going to be the ones to?
No, these are all going to be standalone games.
Yeah.
They're not going to connect. They're not going to be
Somebody's got to
big.
make a good Marvel game.
Well,
I think if they
that's
ever
what
do, like-
Insomniac's trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
And I trust
Wolverine.
Yeah, that's
I trust
true.
Amy Hennig. There's Wolverine, Spider-Man. We got the Midnight Suns coming out. That's a trusted team. The game
Yeah.
itself looks a little iffy, but I'm sure it's good.
have
I think
high hopes
there's a
for
lot
it.
of stuff in the pipeline that could end up being really good. I'm surprised Xbox hasn't scooped up any type of exclusive Marvel game yet. Like, you would think that would be on their list of things to do.
I mean, dude, you got to remember they're busy with their 25 studios that they own that put out no games.
Exactly. Hey, don't forget about, I mean, Pentiment coming out, $20 game, coming in hot.
The savior. Yeah.
Well, I
Yep.
mean, wasn't that also
Win
a
in
Phil
the
Spencer
holidays.
comment
What,
this
Greg?
week too? Wasn't that
What?
also a Phil Spencer comment this week that
Yeah.
about?
He's like, we
Xbox
know the
not having
games need to
exclusives?
come out.
Mhm.
I'm still kind of worried though, because there's a lot of people thinking that a Starfield might end up being the end of the year, and there's also like they're still hiring writers for Fable. It's like, I thought that game would have been long in development to not need writers right now, and it's like a lead writer. It's not just some like side
Wow.
quest writer. It's a guy who wrote Horizon. Like, it's a big deal. But how far along is the game? Where are the games? You got to bring the games out.
Well,
Halo
it was
Infinite can
reported
only
just-
last me so long.
Yeah, it was reported just today that Eidos Montreal is apparently like helping develop Fable. They're not like
exactly.
the lead on it, but like they're a support studio on it. So it's
Yeah.
like, big
So
question
weird.
mark of like how much they've done there. Yeah. So
Honestly, I have a feeling after all this Activision Blizzard stuff is up, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft scoops up Eidos and Crystal Dynamics, because they're both working on exclusive Xbox games right now with Fable and Perfect Dark.
yeah.
But at what
so-
point is it too much though?
I mean, it is probably too much now for all we know,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I was like, they bought a lot. But
Yeah.
but they're leaning heavily into this Game Pass thing, and they're going to have to satiate all the subscribers. So sooner or later, they're going to have to get on a release cadence with all of their studios and like actually start marketing stuff correctly. Like, did you guys see earlier this week during their Age of Empires presentation, they dropped a trailer for Redfall. They like did them at the exact same time, and
Huh.
the Xbox, like, all of the official channels, like when Sony has a trailer, they all go up on the dot at the same time across all platforms, and it's a huge deal. Xbox, when it, like a brand new a Redfall trailer, Starfall, I combined it too. a brand new Redfall
Sounds like a
trailer
better
drops.
game.
Yeah, and it's by far, it does. It's by far the best trailer for that game that we've seen. And one page uploads it like to Twitter. Another page ends up uploading it like 5 hours later, and it's a shorter version of the same trailer. And it's like, what do you guys,
What?
where's your marketing? What are you doing? Like, look at what your competitors are doing. Nintendo makes a big deal out of freaking like a Nintendo Switch Sports, a game that's like, for casuals, it doesn't matter. They are posting it on everything on the dot at the same time. They're having a big Nintendo Direct for it where they reveal it, and it's like Xbox that just crap stuff out. Like, they don't make anything seem like a big deal. They never make anything seem like a big deal. Like, how many people even know anything about so much stuff that the Xbox can do in general, like backwards compatibility stuff and Game Pass offerings? Like, they do one Game Pass post like every week that shows all the games coming, and it's like, why don't you do like a single post for each game that has like a trailer or some VO saying this is out this week, blah blah blah? Why do I not see that? Why do I not see you guys just simply posting, hey, A Mirror's Edge is on Game Pass right now. You can play it at 60 frames per second in native 4K with HDR, all at no additional cost. Free upgrade for a classic title. You've never seen them post something like that. Why? Why would you not? Like, they just don't tell anyone anything. Sorry.
Instead, their dashboards are just plastered with Call of Duty
controllers,
advertisements.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty controllers and Call of Duty. That's all they post.
I would think that like they would deploy some sort of like, you know, something similar to Netflix or like recommended games that are coming to Game Pass or something that's AI driven that could like auto serve these, you know, something other than, like you said, just like randomly having a constipated bowel movement of drip feeding these games out. Like there's no fanfare around them. Like you gotta, you know, I think especially because you gotta get people excited to jump back into games that have already come out. You have to, you know, create the excitement around them instead of just being like, here.
Yeah, it's like when something's new, like let's say like a Pentiment. Oh yeah, Pentiment. That's a good example. Xbox has tweeted one time about Pentiment. One single time. And it was in a reply to another page. They didn't even have a dedicated post for it. What? It's like you're only exclusive this quarter. What are you doing? It's Obsidian. Yes, it's a game with a weird art style, but it's something that looks like it's unique, and it's Obsidian, the developer that never fails, rarely fails. And you have one reply on your Twitter. I'm not saying Twitter's everything, but like this is just basic 101 marketing. They have none, zero. I don't know who is in charge of that stuff, but they need to fix it.
That just says to me like someone up above like that, you know, has like the marketing plans. And maybe it comes down to how they ended up purchasing studios. Maybe they said, okay, well, we'll help with the marketing, but internally your studios are responsible for marketing your games, or if they come to Game Pass or something like that. Because that just says like a communication breakdown. Because like you come on, like, you know, I've worked at, you know, like I said before, like at an ad agency. And, you know, when you have a message that's coming out, like a very specialized message, regardless of whether it's a private business or government entity, like everybody is on board crafting that message, whatever it is, before it comes out, and making sure, you know, the copy editing's done, the graphics done, you know, the YouTube video that's going live with that messaging is done, that everybody knows that on this date, you know, this is going to go out because, you know, we're going to get our biggest bang for our buck. There's a press release going out with it, but it's like, it just seems so fragmented on Xboxes and, you know, marketing wise. And I don't know. It just screams to me like something from the top is not trickling down, you know, to the lower departments.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm not even kidding you. Like
the Xbox Twitter, I saw it's retweeted Obsidian's tweets about Pentiment on at least 2 occasions.
Oh, 2. Yeah, I think the post I saw about it said like a dedicated post, like not a retweet, but
okay.
I don't know. It's just insane, like how little they're only talking about controllers, I swear. Like most of the time, it's like, look at this new color. It's like, Jesus Christ, you have so much to talk about.
Do they make that much money off of controllers though? That like they're like, that's all we need to do.
They always love their controllers. They love them. But it's just like, I feel like out of any platform, Xbox has the most to talk about. Nintendo does their dedicated posts for 30-year-old NES games. And Xbox doesn't even do a dedicated post for their only exclusive in the quarter. Like, that's just, it's wild. Like, it's absolutely insane. And it's Obsidian. Like, it's Obsidian. That's all you need to say. And they just, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I really don't. They have new games on Xbox on a Game Pass every week, and it's like, they're not talking about it. They're not talking about all the player, all the consumer focused moves that they've made over the past 2 years. Like the fans that have gotten popular Twitters have gotten them popular just by simply stating facts about Xbox things that are positive. And people follow those accounts because it's like, oh, Xbox is doing that this week. They're hearing it from other accounts. They're not hearing it from Xbox because Xbox doesn't talk about anything they're doing. Okay, sorry for ranting about that for a long time. We got to get to the next piece of news.
Rest in peace, Nibelian.
Yeah, rest in peace, Nibelian. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Nibel.
Yeah.
All right. Dragon Age Dreadwolf is completed and it's in alpha. It is now fully playable from start to finish. Mary, me and you are going to go ham whenever this comes out. And John, right? John, you like Dragon Age?
Yeah.
I'm losing
First one's
it.
still the best, but yeah.
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 I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this game is. I can't wait to see anything about it. Like, I'm excited. Absolutely.
I have
So excited.
had that stupid Dreadwolf piece of art on my wall for years now, like in my living room.
Oh,
It's
man.
like a 36 by 20 something poster. And it's just in my
wow.
living room, and I just stare at it. I'm just like, one day I will have a game with this art in it.
Wow. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Like,
But I'm very excited. And I was gonna say, I'm just
I-
excited to hear that like it's playable start to finish. I know they still have like a lot
That's
to work
that's
on.
huge.
John.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but
If we
still,
played
still
it
like,
right
huge.
now, we'd probably be like, "Oh, this is a
Oh, yeah.
catastrophe." Like,
But-
what
but
did you
I can
idiots
go-
do?
but you can go start to finish, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
a pretty huge milestone, and I'll
Yeah.
take this bit of news for what it is.
Yeah. It shows
Yeah.
they actually know what the game is. That's exciting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that they were that far.
God,
I didn't think they were that far, especially
Yeah.
after all the rumors of them like rebooting it because it was a service game at first. So, yeah, this is
So
this
if
is
it's-
good to know.
If it's playable from start to finish, what do you guys think that it will leak before it comes out or its release?
Oh, well, I mean, it's still like relatively speaking pretty early days for this game. Like, we're not gonna see it for like another
2
like
years. at
yeah,
least.
2 years.
that's my
I mean,
thing,
like
yeah.
GTA, the same.
Yeah, I mean, if something like that
Well,
happens, yeah,
That was like
That's
some
what I mean.
enterprising teenager like hacking, slacking everything
Yeah.
else on earth. you
Let him out
know,
of
so-
jail. Let him release it.
free him. He's a king.
Gosh.
Oh man, that's such like a movie premise. Like you have to free the bad guy so he can save the world for something. In this case, leaking Dragon Age.
Ugh. I don't
But-
know. Like, I'm wondering if they would have like tightened up security. Like, what kind of changes did like other companies make after like the GTA leak? You know, like,
Mm.
are they? I mean, I'm sure no one wants their game to be leaked. So, like, but could they have tightened up security even more, like around? You know,
I wouldn't be surprised if they've changed literally nothing. Like,
Also
like I
that.
don't know. Have so
We're fine.
Brett's seen it. Has anyone else watched Mythic Quest on Apple TV Plus?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No.
I have like a free. I have like a free trial of Apple TV Plus, and that's why I've actually seen. I'm at like the start of season 2, really. And there's
It's
an
really good.
episode. Yeah, it's really really good. I'm surprised how super good it is. But there's an episode where they get hacked, and like the people are making a really big deal out of it. But then they tell like somebody else on the team, and he's just like, well, so what? Like everybody gets hacked. Everyone's been hacked. And they're like, name an example. And so like he rattles off an example. It's like, all right, name another. And he rattles off another. And like he rattles off like a list of like 10 like real life hacks that had happened in like the past couple years. And so like it's just sort of become like this weird thing that like they claim they're boosting their protections, and maybe they are. I don't know. But like at the end of the
Well,
day, like if someone
no.
really knows what they're doing, like they're gonna get in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I don't know, but
Well,
I
even
mean-
like the ones I can think of off the top of my head, Sony. I mean, that started it really like in the PS3 generation. I remember their online Sony Online Entertainment, that login and those credentials got hacked.
was
Then
that the
EA.
thing that they claimed was North Korea?
I'm not sure. It was like a really big one. They even sent out like where you could get like something like LifeLock or something like that for like
Oh,
a
that
year
sounds
because
familiar.
they sent out where you could
spooky.
get like a free subscription for a year because it was so bad.
Okay. Oh,
But
that's
then
cool.
EA,
but-
EA was only what 2 years ago or something like that. That
Mm,
really big
yeah.
EA one.
And Capcom
Mhm.
had a big one, and maybe that was a couple years ago now. And well, this isn't video games, but the most infamous one I always remember, just because it's such a bizarre story, is Target had this massive hack.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that might have been like 5-6 years ago now. But like they got in through the HVAC system. their air conditioning or
Wow.
whatever, it
Oh my
wasn't
God.
properly protected. And somebody got into the target network through HVAC.
God.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's just like it's hard to have that much IT security to be that sweeping and like that comprehensive. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen,
Like-
I was watching a show recently. I think it's like the Internet of Things or something like that.
Mm.
And they were talking about like different hacks, and like one of them, they say like, you know, it's often the thing that, you know, people don't think about, like if you have a like app that allows you to like unlock your front door, and they'll use exploits in your app to like access the Wi-Fi in your house, and then like, you know, down the road, like ransomware could be potentially used to lock you out of your house until you pay the ransom.
Mm.
And so I just thought that was like so wild.
Yeah.
It's like always something, you know, that you don't think about, like your Nest, you know, AC unit or something.
Yeah. So moral of the story for the common man or woman is use lots of different passwords.
Yep.
Yeah.
And please
Go
don't leak
dark, live
Dragon
in the
Age.
Now,
I don't
what
want
was the
Dragon Age.
topic again?
Well,
Yeah, Dragon Age.
Dragon
And,
Age.
and
One
release
thing-
Dragon Age.
Don't leak it. I don't want it to be leaked.
I mean,
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm gonna hijack this for a second because on the blog post where they gave this update, there was one thing in there that made them feel like the biggest fake fans to me, because they're talking about the setting of their new game. And they said, yes, it's long awaited. We're setting this game in the Tevinter Empire. And I was like, these fake fucks. It's called the Tevinter Imperium.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
How did they
Bioware's
mess
own
up?
blog, and they called it the Tevinter Empire. It's the Tevinter
do you think that they changed it in the
Imperium.
new game? Maybe they changed
better,
it.
because that's their only defense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Gonna do like Control H, find and replace everything in this entire game. Just to
God.
back up
John,
their lie.
John, wait until I tell you about Dreadwolf being 2 words instead of 1.
I know. That's
I just
bothers me.
no, but yeah, we've
Yeah.
talked about that extensively, and they messed that up as well. So
Well,
obviously they don't know anything.
Well, I feel like maybe there's like some hidden significance there that we don't know about yet. Because
Yeah.
like
I hope so.
I feel
It
like they
better.
were using it
better.
interchangeably, like at the announcement. So like I don't know, maybe Dreadwolf 1 word is one thing, Dreadwolf 2 words is another thing.
Yeah.
It
but
better mean
better.
something. These fake fans
Yeah.
who are making the game
Yeah,
made the originals
Like,
fake fans.
like I was like horribly dismayed when I saw that. Like Tevinter Empire. That's like such a like how do you do fellow kids moment. Like I don't know. We'll see. But
See.
on a more positive note, like I kind of have been it's been my theory all along that this was going to be where this game was set, strictly because the first games had built up so much, not just lore, but lore that's also then tied to your decisions. Like we've
Mhm.
never seen the Tevinter Empire, and if you just chuck a game over there, all of a sudden all that other lore doesn't matter so much because it's a totally other part of the world. And just be like, oh yeah, did you hear about that thing? Yeah, I remember that thing. Anyway, so like it seems like win-win. That like it's something we've never seen before, and it's not gonna crush BioWare under its own continuity. So I think this could be really fun.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, because we've seen that Solus is like in the 4th game. So I'm kind of like, how, like, what's the timeline of this? Because all 3 of the first like 3 games happened pretty quickly. Like,
Yeah.
as far like it's a very short, I think over the course of 10, maybe less years of
The
for, like,
beginning
1,
of Dragon Age
1, 2, and
2
3.
happens during the war that takes place in Dragon Age 1.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's like a 2-year time jump, and there's like a 4-year time jump. It's very interesting.
So it's like, is
structure.
this going to jump forward? How far forward? Like, how far are we looking as far as like from where 3 ended? You know?
Right.
I don't know. Hopefully not too long. Maybe like 5 years.
Like
Also, I
I'm
better
willing-
still be able to import my character and my decisions. So
Well, yeah, it would be cool if they did what they did with well, I guess it was Inquisition, right? Didn't they literally set up a website for Inquisition where you could tell it what choices you
Yeah.
wanted?
Yeah, like, and if
Yeah.
like you didn't have save data existing for whatever reason, like maybe you lost it or like this was your first one, you could go onto the website and you could pick. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
it is.
yeah. So yeah, it would be great if they did that again.
Mhm.
Again, like I suspect they're not going to go as heavy with the continuity just because if they're into Vinter, maybe they don't have to.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
yeah, no, I totally want to see some level of continuity. That would be cool. But
Yeah.
also,
It'd be sorry.
I'm just excited about Tevinter itself because that's really a setting like we literally haven't seen it, but also we haven't really seen a setting like it either, where it's like if memory serves, it's basically like a magic-driven empire. And like they're
Yeah.
usually treated as like the bad guys in all the other games. So what's it like if you
Mhm.
actually live there and you're like a sweet mate,
Right.
dude? Like it should be fun to see.
Yeah.
Have they indicated like any characters you'll be playing as yet?
Nah.
The only one we've
Okay.
seen that's familiar is Solus.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
So-
probably the main villain, don't you think? Probably.
Mm.
Is he a villain? Is he not a villain? Like I
Yeah.
remember
He
when
could
I
Be in
met,
the middle.
yeah, when I met like some of the people who like in BioWare at San Diego Comic-Con, like one of the was it the art director? He asked me like, so like, did you like what were your thoughts on him? Like, did you try and like bring him back to the good side? Did you want to punch him? And that's why like now like I'm thinking more back to like what maybe it was just a casual conversation, but maybe it was more of like someone trying to get a feel for like the fan base and like, do they like this character? Do they not? So, I mean, I
gotta be
romanced him
honest.
and I got my heart broken. So,
Oh. Honestly, it's been so long that I have a hard time remembering anything that happened in that game.
I
If
need to
they're ever gonna
replay
do
Inquisition.
remasters, like the time is now.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
recently played 1 and 2. Like a year, probably 2 years ago by now. I played them both like recently. The first two I had not played them. I played Inquisition
Oh,
first
really? Oh,
whenever it
man.
came out.
Origins
And,
is one of the best games I ever played.
Yeah, I really liked Inquisition a lot, and then like 3-4 years later, I was like, man, I need to play these other ones. So I played them both in the span of a month, and they were amazing. Like
Yeah.
now, I'm like I'm really excited for this fourth game, and I haven't been as tortured as you guys waiting for the next game in the series because since I played these two for the first time recently.
God.
Right? Yeah.
Dragon
Ah,
Age
man.
2 was the first one I played, but I went
Oh,
to
really? You
Games-
started with
Yeah.
the worst.
So I went to GameStop. I wanted to get Origins because one of my friends was like, play Origins first, then 2 had like just come out. So I went to GameStop and I was a broke college student. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a used copy. The GameStop employee put a Dragon Age 2 disc in the Dragon Age 1 case.
Oh my god, they do look similar. They
jeez.
look very similar.
So, and I was just like, I'm not going to take it back because this is a fairly new release and it's a very expensive video game. So,
Good call.
Back then, there was no Xbox Game Pass that features the entire trilogy in 4K 60 frames per second. Okay, I'm sorry.
so I played 2 first and then 1 and then 3. But I played 1 and 2 like so many times. You know.
So when you got to 1, did you think like, wow, there's a lot more to do and see in this one than in 2?
Yeah, like some of the animations in 2 were a lot better, but
Mhm,
like
yeah.
The
the
graphics were
overall
much better in
story
2.
and
Yeah.
decisions is I was like, wow. I was like, there's good
I
things
mean-
visually about 2, but the story, just doesn't hold up to 1 like nearly as
Yeah.
much.
I was really surprised by how 1, it's this huge journey where you're going to a bunch of new areas and you're on this adventure to literally basically save the world. Whereas in 2, it's just town politics. Like,
Yeah.
like it's one town's politics. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is actually pretty cool for a game, to be honest. Like, I didn't hate 2 at all. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 just feels way more like an adventure, whereas 2, you're just sort of existing around a bunch of drama that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully acknowledge, like, I'm a total hypocrite about Dragon Age 2, where I will trash it constantly, knowing full well that when I came out, I played it like nonstop until I'd beaten
Yeah.
it, like 1,000,000% addicted for like day after day until it was done. And then I'm like, yeah, this game was garbage.
It's not garbage. You're crazy. There's some good
Yeah.
character stuff in there.
Well, the thing that I will never forget, because like it was so ridiculous, is like every side quest in the game is set in like the same 2 dungeons that they
Yes.
pretend are all unique places, but it's not. It's the same
Yeah.
map over and
remember
over. It's like, what are
It was
you
like, oh
doing?
yeah,
Reuse so
there's
many
this little hallway over here. There was a treasure chest on this map, or I wonder if it's like still here. So you just go check because it's the
Yes.
exact same layout.
Yeah, and you're doing it like 20 times as buffer for the main story. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You
I
could-
know the
I
answer
mean,
why.
yeah,
Because the game
they
was like
said why.
super rushed. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah.
I don't
I
know what
played-
EA was thinking, rushing that out Dragon Age 2 like that. Like, it could have been so
Yeah.
much better than it was.
Like,
I
I mean-
played. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, what they did with the scope, with like the time they had, was actually pretty clever. Like, all right, set it in one place. Like, that's a really smart economical decision. We're gonna just show how it evolves over time. It's a good premise. I still like.
Yeah, I like that.
Again, I've forgotten so much of the series in general, but I remember being a little lukewarm on the story in that game as well. Especially,
Mhm.
I was also kind of biased against it just because, like, I loved Origins. Like, Origins
Mhm.
is like, I think, my favorite game that wasn't made by an Asian person, which is high praise.
One person.
So, like basically anything was going to disappoint me after the first game, because I just loved that so much. Like, in Origins, you had so many chances to make like these majorly impactful decisions. Like, you could you could sell out the elves in the woods, and you could have an army of werewolves not only kill everybody but then join you in the final fight. How many
Mhm.
games give you an evil werewolf army if you feel like it?
Yeah.
Like,
That's kind. I was saying, it's kind of related to what I was gonna say. Like, I played Dragon Age before I played Mass Effect, so like this was like one of the first games where like I realized that my decisions in a video game could actually matter, and like
Yeah.
how dialogue choices actually played a huge role in it. And I remember, I mean, spoiler alert for Dragon Age 2 ending. Like at the very end, Fenris will not side with you at a certain point. And I was like, I mean, like I had romanced him, like we were, you know, we were boyfriend girlfriends, we loved each other. And I was like, please don't make me do this. And he was like, I'm sorry, I can't. And then you have to fight him. And I was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, how do I reset this conversation? I was like, I can't fight my video game boyfriend. It's not allowed.
Tragic.
So, but like that happens
Yeah.
constantly, like in Origins and like throughout like just that series, is that like your actions may not have immediate consequences, but further down the line, someone who you really like may not be your friend anymore for one reason or
Yeah.
another.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
or you just don't recruit them at all.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
in,
they just never.
in Origins, like, so like towards like later in the game, there's I forget what she is. I guess I don't know if she was a princess, but like, yeah, maybe she was becoming queen or something. And like one of your party members can actually marry her, and it's like he
Mhm.
doesn't actually want to be married and he doesn't want to lead at all.
No.
So it's
Yeah.
not even necessarily like the nicest thing to make happen. But if you do it, it's the best for like political stability in the realm.
Mhm.
But I didn't have the option to do that though, because I gave him the opportunity to murder her father. So because it was revenge for something really dramatic. It was like for like a betrayal. And so like it felt right for him to be the one to do it. And then
Yeah.
afterwards it was like, she's like, I'm not marrying that guy. She, like, cut my dad's head off. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
It's like, oh yeah, felt that.
Yeah, so like I kind of give props to BioWare, and I'm like, all right, you know what? That's a fair reason not to let two people marry. Cutting dad's
Guys,
whole head off.
Why isn't the Dragon Age trilogy on Switch?
Right?
Once
I don't know.
another thing.
Right?
I feel
It's
like it
cool
would
that
honestly
Knights
do
of the
well
Old
on
Republic
Switch.
finally got there. That's cool.
Yeah, I still have to get back to that. I stopped. Remember, I was playing that.
Did you ever finish them?
I'd never finished. No, I was playing the first one for the first
Oh
time like
man.
6 months ago, and
Oh
I got pretty
man.
far in it. I need to continue. I like it. I just keep getting
Yeah. Like
sidetracked.
by today's standards, they're somewhat antiquated, especially because like Dragon Age just kind of took the ball with that and like expanded on everything. But like when they came out, they ruled. Like both of those games ruled. The second one had like a really rushed garbage ending that like fans like modded to make right years later. But other than that, they're awesome games.
Nice. There's one section in the first one where like it's basically like a Romeo and Juliet situation where like two sides, like this girl and this boy love each other, but their parents hate each other. And at one point, they all end up meeting up in like a section, and the camera cuts to each character like as they're walking to each other, like they all run to the same spot, and it's like Jimmy, Tom, Brittany, David, Dad, Mom. Like the camera keeps cutting, and they keep saying like someone's name. Like I'm like, oh my god, it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, that was BioWare at the peak of its powers.
Yes. I miss it. Like there's something
Me
about
too.
that BioWare jank, like that classic BioWare jank with animations, with voice acting, with just everything.
Yeah.
But and I really feel like Spiders, that studio that does RPGs now, I really think
Greedfall.
Greedfall really like feels like a classic BioWare game, and
That's what I've heard. I just never got around to it.
I'm really excited for the sequel to that.
Mm.
They just put out a game recently, but it was like a Souls-like game, and I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. Yeah,
Me too.
but I'm not.
But anyway, we don't got much more time, so let's talk about what we're playing for a minute and head out of here. John, you finished Star Ocean. Are you allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah, the game's out. Yeah, and my review went up today finally.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 7.5, but it's like a positive 7.5. So
nice.
The game is,
There's different versions of 7.5s.
Can mean a lot of different things, but like I think compared to like other mainstream JRPGs like Persona 5, like this game was definitely made on more of a budget. But it does what it can with that budget, and it's like really earnest about what it's trying to do. Like it just kind of like shrugs its shoulders like at parts where like it should look and be more interesting than it is, but you can just feel the developers being like, look, this is what we had the budget for, so this is what you're getting, but just pretend it looks better than this. Like there's a scene where like the armies have like they're converging for kind of like this epic final battle against their enemy, and you know RPGs are, it's not actually the final battle, but as far as they know, it's the final battle. So there's supposed to be this big army there that's like getting ready to like march into the city, and there's like, I don't know, like a dozen soldiers standing there. Like maybe 2 dozen at most.
That's funny.
It's supposed to be a full army. Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe they're like just off camera or something. I don't know. Like, or like they're all like somewhere else. They're invading from like a different position that I just don't see right now, even though like the main head of the army is like standing right here. I don't know. But so like there's some stuff like that in the game, and like some of the facial animations are like kind of stilted, and some of the faces in general just look kind of weird. Like I'm thinking it was probably a stylistic choice, but it wasn't a good one.
Jeez.
But the game does cool stuff. The gameplay is really solid, actually. The best part of the game by far is the exploration. Like as I said last week, you have this boost ability where you can just like chuck yourself through the air for like a few seconds at a time. It's dumb, but it's also as fun as it sounds. It never gets old just chucking yourself places. Like, oh, I want to get way over there, but walking's for losers. Like
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like it's such a simple gimmick that's like, wow, like maybe all games should just have a random boost power for no real reason, because this is so much more fun than walking. And the game's well designed around it as well. Like, I love that this game is not open world and it doesn't try to be open world. You can beat this whole game in 30 to 35 hours, which I wrote an op-ed this week about how refreshing that is. Mainstream JRPGs are usually like 80 plus hour blimps now.
Yeah,
this
it's too
game
much
is-
sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. This game is the rare mainstream RPG that's like, nope, 30, 35 hours, can replay it with another character if you want to kind of double that, but then that's it, you're done. And I love that. I want more mainstream 3D JRPGs that are like okay with being short. And it doesn't feel like a short game either. It gives you a full experience. It's like a full start to finish story here. Like it tells you the whole thing. It's just not 100 hours long, which is great. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Speaking of BioWare, though, one thing
Yeah.
real quick is I really like how like the Dragon Age games and Mass Effect games aren't like padded and super long. They're decently short for being as like epic as they are as a very choice based RPGs. So yeah, I just want to shout that out. Like I prefer the more like the RPG that's easily replayable but still feels like a full adventure that you go on. You know?
yeah. Yeah. So Star Ocean, it ain't perfect. It's got a lot of its main mechanics you can actually completely ignore and still beat the game no problem, which I think is kind of weird. But it's still fun. I would recommend it if you're just looking for a game like an RPG you can play that won't take over your whole life. So yeah, it gets my recommendation. Oh, and
Awesome.
one last thing. In true JRPG fashion, most of the women in this game, their busts are just like comically enormous because that's the only thing Japan knows how to do.
Gosh.
Right
The
when you
art-
said that, they were on screen.
Yeah, I was like, there was a female boss. It was perfectly timed.
Well, that's nice. The character designs were by Akiman, which is I think he's the dude who like designed the Street Fighter characters way back when. He's like a major Japanese artist who's been around for decades, and he likes his women. So there's an android character in the game where like in typical android fashion, she kind of knows everything. She's super helpful. She's always super rational, but she has like this enormous rack. She has these pants that like they're like hip huggers, but like they barely cover her crotch. It's so low cut. And like,
Jeez.
why would an android that exists strictly to help people look like this? Like,
That is strange.
Like, to be clear, not complaining, I'm a horrible person, but it's still kind of weird.
Yeah,
But that's my
kinda
concluding
weird.
thought there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, that's her.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's so
Elena.
weird. Like,
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. Models and designs like that do absolutely nothing for me. Like, just make them. I want a realistic person that seems relatable in some sense,
Yeah.
or like that feels
And
like
she's literally an
character.
android. She has no sexuality.
Meanwhile, I'm playing Xenoblade and complaining about where the low cut shirts for all the men. I'm like the women get to show off theirs. Why can't the men have V-necks or belly buttons hanging out?
Well,
Aren't there
the
some
nipple.
belly buttons hanging
Free
out in
the nipple.
Xenoblade from the guys?
Okay, Ryan gets a crop top and that's about it.
Yeah, that's
he's,
what I thought.
He's like the big himbo-y one. I'm like, he doesn't
Yeah.
even. I was like, he's the one who needs the V-neck the most.
Wait, can't you like literally only wear underwear if you want to in Xenoblade?
Okay, I wanted to still have pants, maybe, but
Okay.
So nothing's good enough for you. Yeah.
no.
There
I have
was
an image in my mind, and the game is supposed to know what it is.
That's fair. That's totally fair. There was on the Wii, there was an RPG from Mistwalker, the Final Fantasy creator studio, called The Last Story. That's another really succinct RPG. You can beat that game in, I forget, like maybe 30 hours, and it's another action RPG. So in that regard, it's kind of similar to this game. But anyway, all I'm getting at is that this game brilliantly gives you the decision to just strip your whole party whenever you feel like, and they're stripped the whole time. So you can have all of your characters in their underwear for like every cinematic if you want. Just
Even
for the
when
heck
it's
of it.
serious.
Yeah, and like
It's funny.
brilliant. Yes, equality at last.
Now, Tango Wolf in the chat says, "How would you rank Platinum Games action games on Switch between Nier, Astral Chain, and they put Bayonetta 1 through 3, but I'll just do the best one. So I'm going to rank them. Bayonetta 2 is number 1. I haven't finished 3, so I can't say if it's better. Then Astral Chain, then Nier. But keep in mind, they're all 10 out of 10 games, basically. So that's my ranking.
Are they, though? Are they?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think
I still
Bayonetta 2,
haven't played
Astral
Nier.
Chain, and Nier Automata are all 10 out of 10.
I'll play Nier on a sale on Switch in like 2 years.
There you go. It's a good port.
That's my plan. Yeah.
All right, Greg, you're playing Apex Legends and Hentai Simulator Step Bro Edition. How's that going?
It's going great. Yeah, Apex Legends new season just came out today. There's a lot of additions back in the game. Hentai Simulator. They just introduced their first trans character. So she's been added to the roster, and I think they brought back like a bunch of changes to, you know, items that drop on the ground, some that go back into the care packages. The Peacekeeper shotgun is like one of the stronger shotguns. It's no longer on the ground, so people can't spam that or abuse it. But I do think that, again, even though we had some vacancies from Respawn, I still feel like, you know, the seasons will continue on. You know, changes keep coming to the game that keep it fresh. So I'm excited to jump into this first playthrough of season, I think it's 15, and then also playing Bayonetta 3 and enjoying it for what it is. You know, again, like I don't think it really takes away from any of the action that's happening. I just think it's just quirky, and I am optimistic in the future that we will see some sort of, you know, hopefully a more powerful something from Nintendo that you know, that they do the same thing they did with the Switch, where they bring over all these, you know, Wii U titles that get facelifts. So I'm looking forward to whatever that looks like and seeing it play in all of its glory. I'm also interested to hook it up to my monitor and see if there's any changes or noticeable differences hooking up to a 165 hertz monitor, which I don't think it will. But if there's any other like features that the monitor has to, you know, simulate any improvements, then I'll check it out.
Awesome. Now, who put that Leon photo on the dock? Because that's a little much.
Not me. It was not me, I swear.
Eric. Definitely Eric.
Okay.
I want to see.
It's on the Google Doc.
I'm pretty sure you can find Greg's review for Hentai Simulator Step Bro Edition on PC Invasion.
Yeah. All my bylines.
Mary, you're currently playing Bayonetta 3, Zombie U, and Leon's Caboosed Feast. How's that going?
Well, the Leon one I can't talk about too much because it's a private closed beta. But it's extra thick, I will just say that. Bayonetta 3, though, it's really good. I'm enjoying it so far. Like I said earlier, like the combat, I'm just really having a lot of fun with. It's very fluid, very fun, very actiony. The super chaos at times, but I'm just rolling with it. And then yesterday I decided to play Zombie U on my Wii U as like a nice little Halloween game. I never beat it like years ago when I bought it at launch because I was not the survival horror pro-ish that I kind of am now.
Huge fan now. You're a huge fan now.
I was a huge weenie. I died so many times, but I'm doing pretty good now. I haven't game over, knock on wood, yet. So we'll see if I can actually beat it this time.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's a game I played at launch, and I just couldn't get very far in it. And I didn't even understand what you were supposed to do, and I just didn't care enough to try. I just stopped playing it.
Go back
That's
and
how
play
I felt
it.
about Twilight Princess.
You must.
No, you have to play Twilight.
It's so worth it.
How do you get lost? Never mind.
Twilight Princess, come on, John. That's not a hard game. But
no, but it was.
It's
it
so
lost my
underrated,
attention.
so underappreciated. Twilight Princesses. Right, Mary?
Oh, Zombie U is? Yeah, Zombie U is, yeah.
Twilight Princess is not underappreciated.
Definitely. Without a doubt. It's not even a question. Everyone shits on it now. I'm just kidding.
Gosh.
But yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty. I talked about it last week. I was not high on it at all last week. And I did end up liking the second half a lot more than the first half. Like, I thought the first half was so like standard, boring, like just shooting, go into a new area, shoot, go into the next area, shoot, which is fine. Like, Call of Duty needs those moments. That's what it is, like, to its core. That's what you're going to be doing most of the time. But it's usually, especially from Infinity Ward, it usually has something new and exciting involved. Like with their last game, with the Modern Warfare, they did these missions where you're like going in and you're like ransacking the place. You're shooting people who are like popping out of corners and stuff. And this game does the same thing, and it like leans more into that, but it doesn't feel as special as the first one, because the first one already did it. So they didn't really expand on that or improve it in any drastic ways. If anything, it was slightly worse, like in terms of the level design and like the enemy placement and whatnot. It wasn't as dynamic. At least it didn't feel like it. But then in the second half, they do some interesting things. They have like a section where it's all stealth. You don't even have a gun. You're sneaking around. You have to take people out. There's crafting introduced, which was really cool. And I honestly wish it was something that was used throughout the campaign constantly, because I think it added like a whole new element to the gameplay that's never been there for Call of Duty. And I actually liked it a lot. Like, you can make some really cool stuff. You can make like throwing knives and smoke bombs. It was like The Last of Us, but in Call of Duty. And I really like that. And they only did it twice in the campaign. And surprisingly, a lot of the shows I've listened to, like podcasts, whatnot, a lot of people aren't high on that section. And I'm like, that was one of the coolest parts. Like, it was something different. Like, everything else was extremely Call of Duty, like just standard, like something that I've played dozens of times. I feel like this campaign was a lot of people's return to the franchise, so they really thought it was something special and unique and fun. But from someone who's played like every campaign for the past like 10 years now, I didn't think it was a very special one, especially in the first half. But like I said, the second half has the stealth section, and then this boat mission where the boat's like, it's like rocking back and forth, and there's crates on the boat that are sliding back and forth, and you're shooting people, and you got to run behind the crates, try not to get smashed by the crates. That's really awesome. And unfortunately, that's the only two sections that I thought were really cool. The stealth one and then the boat mission. Everything else was either very standard Call of Duty or just an outright bad mission, like this driving mission where you have to jump from car to car. It was terrible. Like you would think it would be awesome because it sounds cool. You're driving a car, shooting while you're driving, getting on top of the roof and jumping to another car. Like, that sounds incredible. But the mechanics just were poorly made. Like, it just sucks. Like you're constantly just falling off of a car. You're not making the jumps. The steering, like when you drive, the car doesn't do any type of auto steer. So like, you have to make sure you're completely going straight before you can even shoot. And a lot of times you start shooting before you're even straight, and you just crash into a wall and slow down. And the whole section, when you're doing this, like supposed to be doing this epic, amazing stuff, there's no music playing, and it's so awkward because it's just quiet. It's just an extremely quiet, like you hear from the car being on, and that's all you hear the whole time. Like, what were they thinking? Put an intense song here. Yeah, and speaking of that, I think this mechanic is specifically used in Warzone, like the driving and all that stuff, because it's never been in a campaign like this. And I think that's why it's so strange and just doesn't feel right, because it's meant for a multiplayer game where someone else is driving and then the other person is shooting. But yeah, I like the second half more though, but it definitely disappointed. Infinity Ward made Modern Warfare 2019, which was a great like reboot for Modern Warfare. And then before that, Infinite Warfare, which I absolutely loved. It's like I said last week, it's in my favorite games of all time list. Like, it's an amazing campaign. So this one disappointed me. And then aside from that, Halo Infinite, gotta keep playing it every night on the grind, getting double XP. I realize I've unlocked so many boosts for double XP, and I've never used any of them. So I have like 50 hours of double XP that I can use now while I'm playing every night. And next week, the winter update happens. I'm very excited. The winter update's going to be awesome. We're finally getting Forge. We're getting new maps. I'm so excited. I've never been this excited about a multiplayer game in my life, but this is one that has me by the balls. So I'm very excited.
Might even be as good as Dragon Ball: The Breakers.
Yeah, exactly. It might even be as good as that game that probably
Lots
has
of-
more
lots of-
players than Infinite Warfare.
Lots of
Could
shooters
be.
out this season. Overwatch
Yeah.
2 is back. Call of Duty, Halo.
Well, Halo's
Apex
getting an
Legends.
update. It's been back.
Well, I
Well,
mean, like there
Half of the game has
Has
been
it,
back.
the amount to choose from, I suppose. But then
Yeah.
they are taking characters in and out of Overwatch too, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's not going too hot over there. But yeah, I'm really, really hoping. I'm probably gonna make a video about this like tomorrow, maybe. This update for Halo Infinite has to go at least semi-successful. Like, I really hope a lot of people come back, because they probably can't keep supporting it too greatly if no one's playing it. And that's going to really suck, because I love the core, the skeleton, the actual mechanics of Halo Infinite so much. Like, it's such a well-made game. Like, the gameplay is just so damn fun. I can't even go back to any other first-person shooter now. I tried playing Modern Warfare 2, boring to me. I can't use a hook shot. Why would I want to play that? I can't use a freaking what's it called? I don't remember the name. The gun where you shoot people and it sticks them to a wall. Like, that's not in Call of Duty.
Yeah, no, what's it called?
The what's it called? The thingamajig. But yeah, and I even tried, because my son loves watching me play Halo, but he's been asking me to play like the older ones, like the trilogy and Halo 5, and I tried playing them. I'm like, man, I can't even go back to old Halo. Like, Infinite is just infinitely better in my opinion. So yeah, I freaking love that game, and I know there are very few people who love Halo, well, Halo Infinite as much as I do right now. But I'm super excited for the update. And that's pretty much it, you guys. This has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast. It went on a little longer than usual, I think. Well, actually, we started a little late, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for hanging out. We'll duck out of here really quick, but don't forget to leave us a review on podcast platforms. I would really mean a lot if you could give us 5 stars and maybe leave a tiny little review saying Greg's very cute. We want more of him on the show. And say Brett sucks, because he always misses.
Please say that,
And
man.
one last word to go with my ending here is, it's a massacre. Goodbye. That was technically more than one word.